Honestly, who actually has any money left at the end of the month after paying for gas? We all feel it in our wallets, and by now some bills are simply unaffordable, and rents as well as utility costs are just skyrocketing. Important, on this channel, I only share my own or the association's strategies. Everything I do from now on, I do personally with my own money. However, many people are not even aware of peer-to-peer yet and don't know how to participate in it. That's why today we're going to take a look at asset classes, especially in the area of crowdlending. Many people already know, by the way, that vegetables or fruits, among other things, can be ordered and obtained through what's known as crowd farming, which is an absolutely gigantic business. Important note, before we start, investments always come with risks. That means they can go up, go down, or even fail completely. I want to give you this important note in advance. It is possible for investors to lose part or even all of their invested capital. By the way, past performance is not a reliable indicator that things will continue the same way in the future. That's very important. I definitely wanted to mention that to you briefly in advance. Please keep that in mind. Every reputable person should definitely tell you that. Traditionally, it works like this. You bring your money to the bank and get 2 to 3% interest. The bank then lends it out for 10 to 15% interest, and you only get that small amount. The bank keeps the difference for its own expenses and employees. With crowdlending, we simply take the bank out of the equation and more or less play the role of the bank ourselves, with a reputable financial service provider in the background. That can be an attractive way to earn returns, but it also carries slightly higher risks, which I have just explained to you. That's exactly what we're looking at today with my partner McLear. Why McLear? Let's lay all the facts out on the table. It's a Swiss platform based in Zurich. What matters most to me are, of course, the Swiss standards that we all know and have come to love, especially in the banking sector. McLear is also affiliated with Polyrec GmbH, a self-regulatory organization recognized according to FINMA standards, just like BaFin here in Germany. For me, that's the basic prerequisite for personally investing anywhere at all. So let's stick to the facts. Almost 35,000 investors with nearly 100 million euros in capital. On Trustpilot, McLear is listed with a rating of 4.6 out of 5 stars, which is classified as excellent. What I personally consider excellent is that you can start with a minimum investment of €5 and don't have to be a big-time investor to take part in this and receive your returns every month. And all of this with an average return of, hold on, 14.5 compared to a regular savings account. There you get something between 2 and 3. 0.5%. And at the same time, you have a no-fee structure. That means no fees on deposits, withdrawals, or on the purchase of any products. Only when you want to sell them on the secondary market because you want to exit a project faster, then you have to pay 2.5. In all other cases, if you keep them for the entire period, then you have a zero fee structure. Where there are opportunities for returns, there are always chances of default as well. And the only question is, how exactly does the company deal with that? The main risk with crowdlending is that a finance company might not be able to pay back its loans. And what exactly does McLear do then? First of all, there is an absolutely strict preliminary check, which means McLear looks at every loan first and has it legally reviewed. Loans are secured by real assets such as equipment, real estate, etc. In serious cases, that collateral can then be liquidated. Now let's move on to the reserve fund, the so-called protection fund, protective shield. It is funded by the Platform Commission and is intended to bridge delayed interest payments for investors so that they can experience continuous payouts and don't get frustrated. Now let's move on to a practical example like Brokill. They experienced this loan default in July 2025. After that, McLear sat down with the company and made a private repayment agreement instead of aiming for a lengthy insolvency process. As a result, all investors were able to get their full capital back, and that was without the need for the reserve fund to step in. And now, hold on tight, they don't just carry out strict financial checks, they also require tangible assets to be pledged as collateral because they plan for the long term. The so-called skin in the game principle, ultimately to stay in the market for a long time, remain stable, and even be able to handle payment defaults without any issues. It's important to say that this is an isolated case and not a guarantee for the future. But it does show that these mechanisms actually work in a real-life example. What would actually happen if McLear were to file for bankruptcy and had problems herself? The funds are held here in possession wie gelagert. Das heißt, verwaltet could then be used and the funds could be distributed back to the investors. So you can see that it works in the practical example, and at the same time that there are separate accounts there. On the one hand, there are the investor accounts, and on the other hand, the company accounts where, for example, McLear pays employees. It's extremely important that there's no mixing of funds here, which would of course make it much easier for an administrator later on to pay your money back to you. And now you can become completely passive, meaning you set everything to autopilot with the auto invest tool. That means every time money comes in and there's enough available, you set your criteria and immediately reinvest your money into new projects. By the way, without this tool, you have what's called the cash track. That means you always have money that isn't earning any interest. And let's be honest, we all know about the compound interest effect, right? That means my money increases every month because I reinvest it every month. And that's how you get into a spiral where at first you get 100 euros a year, later you get 120 euros, then 140, 180, and it keeps increasing. The steps to get started are actually quite simple. Transfer 50 to 100 euros to the platform. Here you can take your time to get to know everything first. That's how I did it too. Then the efficiency tier between 500 and 1000 euros. Here you can take advantage of the welcome bonuses and the value bonuses. And then we come to the income tier that starts at 5000 euros. Here you get the big loyalty program. You get a lot of extras. Bonuses are credited to your account every month. These bonuses are a huge plus, but here too it's very important. They are not a promise of money or a special guarantee that could protect you from defaults. In the end, your results depend on your individual portfolio composition. And now we come to my absolute favorite, the secondary market. And I have to tell you, I just love it. I simply love it. The secondary market has two absolutely essential advantages. First, you can invest for a very short period of time. On the other hand, you also get discounts from people who, for example, want to sell a loan to free up cash faster and invest in other projects. And now let me tell you, when projects are sold out, for example, because they are no longer available. Do you agree? They are sometimes even available on the secondary market and sometimes even with a discount. And McLear has now also announced again, and that's incredible, that they are offering a buyback guarantee for conservative investors. That means you simply get your money back. So if you don't want to wait 24 months for a project, you can just choose 4-month projects. You can invest there quickly, and after 4 months, you'll get your money back, including the interest earned over those 4 months. And don't worry about the tax return. You'll find the statements under the tax options, and with one click, you'll have all the documents you need for your taxes. It's super easy and simple. The verification only takes a few minutes. I've already shown you this in my video, which I'll link to at the end. You sign up and upload your passport, ID card, electricity bill, one of those things. And you can get started right away without any detours, and you'll be verified at the same time. After that, you make a deposit, and then you just have to choose the project you like best. In my opinion, always pay attention to the A ratings here. So A, double A, or triple A. I just love them. For me, this is an absolute community project. You can find the link below in the video description and in the first pinned comment. And very important, investments always come with risks. That means you could lose part or even all of your investment. Please always keep that in mind. Success stories are not an indicator for future investments. And I'm only showing you my personal experience. This is not investment advice. Make your own decisions. Be happy with them. Always based on your own situation. And please do your own thorough research. What do you think about crowdlending? Feel free to write it in the comments below. Have you ever done something like this? Or do you say, no, that's just too risky for me? I'd be happy to read your questions below. And do you know anything about the community feature? There, I'll constantly tell you what I'm buying for my portfolio. I'll keep giving you updates about what I'm going to buy, when and where. And if you want to be really quick now, click the link below and become part of McLear now, just like I have. And I have to say, I just love the project.